Black men are more likely to kill me.
Oh my
Tell
God.
me.
You need to think about me as your mama. Do not talk to me in that fashion.
Amanda Seals will get cooked. Somebody should have a new dish called Amanda Seals because she getting cooked. I'm talking about filet mignon cooked. This video is brought to you by Tatum. That's how I'd rather do that than listen to Amanda Seals talk. But thank God she decided to go on this show because every black conservative raked her over the coals. Well, let me go to the dude that ran to the chair. Whichever clip that is, the guy that ran to the chair. That's when I knew.
I want to apologize up front, man. I'm gonna apologize. I had to bring the coon up because Jubilee will hit me if I get the content from them. So I had to go to the coon to get the content. So today's video was about Amanda Seals, and she's going in against 20 conservative black men. Amanda Seals, I love her message. I cannot stand her. Her personality is insufferable. She overtalks people. She's condescending. And when she doesn't get her way in the conversation, she goes right to ad hominems. And I don't like that. But I like what she says. So I'm in a bad position right here, but I'm gonna let King Coon speak right now.
That he was getting ready to cook right there.
So you say that black on black.
Hold on, go back. That's my favorite part. Hold on.
So you say that black on black crime is due to underfunding and over-policing, essentially.
Yes.
I actually don't necessarily disagree with one of those. Okay. I think that, however, the government, who do you think should be responsible for the funding piece of the black community? Should that be something that the government should step into, or should that be something that we as black people need to handle ourselves? Dr. Jordan Peterson and even Thomas Sowell and several others have stated one thing, that poverty and crime, there's a positive correlation. There's also a positive correlation in the black community of absentee fatherism being one of the root causes.
Oh, I hate that talking point. I hate it. I really, you know why I hate the talking point? Because it's a basic fundamental fact. Most people delete within their race. So if someone is white, they typically delete mostly white people. It happens in all races. It's just a really, really, really stupid talking point. I'm gonna go back to the clip now. I just hate that talking was so stupid.
Leading into criminality. Black males that grew up without a father are 10 times more likely to engage in criminal activity. And so I think one of the—
Can I put a pin right there and ask you a question?
Ask me whatever you like.
What is the root cause of there being less fathers present?
Come on.
Oh my God. I'm laughing because the answer is not going to be said, but it's a thing called condom, right? It's a condom, and you put it on, and it protects, the man milk from coming out. That's a lot of dudes are not wearing condoms. That's why there's a lot of fatherless children. That's why dudes are not wearing condoms. That's the issue. Because there's a lot of us that don't have any kids is because we wear our raincoats. I know it sucks. I know it's not the same, but you got to put on your swim gear if you want to go swimming. It's just a fact.
Decision-making on the part of the fathers. Sure. We live in a patriarchal system. Like it or not, men have dominated the socioeconomic, economic, and political power of this country and the world since our existence. So our bad decision-making, especially when we focus on the black community, is the root cause of fatherlessness.
What type of decisions?
Not marrying the women we decide to lay down and have children.
Condoms. I just told y'all, they're going to say a whole bunch of stuff, but with the truth. Condoms.
With not being careful with the seeds that we plant in women. No woman can get pregnant.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Not being careful with your seed
without a man planting his seed inside of her. So therefore,
it's marriage.
Well, that's a part of it. Marriage is a part of it.
Okay.
But the true piece that I'm looking at is connectedness between familial units. The black community was at its economically strongest while being at its poorest during the segregation era. Prior to 1968, Dr. Martin Luther King in his last speech said that we have an annual income of more than $30 billion a year, which is more than all of the exports of Canada and more than all of the exports of the United States and more than the national budget of Canada. That was when we were economically at our poorest.
Exhibit B, roll it.
My final claim is black conservatism fails to meet the needs of the working class.
Budget of Canada. That was when we were economically at our poorest.
Exhibit B, roll it.
My final claim is black conservatism fails to meet the needs of the working class.
I don't understand this, right? I'm stopping it because we play right into, these people's hands. I'm black conservative. I'm black liberal. You're neither. Do you understand that they don't care about you? And that when I say they, you know who they are. So we don't have to say that. So when you pick a side, you lose. Whether you're red or you're blue, you still lose. And this whole going back and forth is really stupid because at the end of the day, whether you vote blue, no matter who, or you're a MAGA, they don't care about you at all. And at the end of towards the end, I'm gonna show you how they feel about you, black conservatives.
ABL, boy. Hold on, shout it. That's ABL. Anthony Brian Lowe.
Like a lot of the liberals, a lot of the leftists, they wanted to do things like office work. They wanted to go reparations, try to get things from the government and get handouts. We say, hey, go out there and work. Go out there and get these jobs that are available. Work with your hands, do skilled trades. That's where a lot of us talk about skilled trades. So working class, that's really a black conservative thing, in my humble opinion.
I would beg to disagree. I think that would be true if black conservatism also created pathways for people to get those jobs and also to be able to challenge the corporations that are using their labor, that are stealing from them and not impeding them from having a union. So for instance, like in the South, right? I just left North Carolina where I met with the USSW, the Union of Southern Service Workers. This is an unofficial union of individuals who work at places like Waffle House, at food.
Okay. See, we just talked about trades. Okay. She talked about service work. I'm stopping it because a trade is something, it's a skill set that you can do for yourself. Making waffles, right? Like learning how to be a good waffle maker does not translate other to anywhere place other than maybe I guess IHOP. Like what? They're not. There's not even an equivalent. Like if you learn how to be a plumber in California, right? And I think you gotta go through like a school, then you have to be underneath somebody, right, for a couple of years, following them around and learning from a mentor, right? You can do that, like learn everything and then go to Georgia with the skill set. You can't do that for Waffle House. You can't do that being a fry cook at some random place. Like trades are more valuable than dead-end jobs. That's what I'm saying. This Waffle House is a dead-end job. Walmart is a dead-end job. And most service jobs are dead end, meaning it's not a lot of opportunities for growth, and you don't learn anything valuable enough to where you can go. Oh, I made fries at McDonald's. I can now go to Burger King and make hamburger. No. No, they're not the same. This is some goofy shit. She don't listen, bro. That's what I'm saying. Like her personality is insufferable.
Lion, etc. And their unofficial union is unofficial because the conservatives in that state will not allow for them to be officialized.
Legitimized.
Legitimized.
There you go. I got you.
It will not allow for them to be legitimized because then they would be able to push back legitimately on the corporations to get fair wages, right? So like someone was telling me in this organization that she was in Baltimore getting $15.25 as a minimum wage. And then when she moved just one state away, she was now only getting $7.25 for minimum wage. But the cost.
I'm sorry, y'all. Okay, break this down. I lived in Arkansas, right? For a very long time, Arkansas minimum wage was like $7.25. $7.25. So yeah, so a check would be like $300 for 2 weeks of work. You can move to California, and I don't know what the minimum wage is in Arkansas anymore, but when I was working 2014, 2015, so it was 2012, 2013, you know, it was like 725, 70, 75, right? That is because, right, my rent was $500. My rent was $500. It's way cheaper to live in Arkansas than it is to live in California. That's what happens when you actually have lived experience. You can speak on things like, of course, it's going to be more expensive. I mean, of course, you're going to get paid more because it's more expensive. And then it's minimum wage, which means you have an entry-level position. Why are we talking about entry-level positions? Why are we promoting entry-level positions? I told you, but she's insufferable, man.
Cost of living was the same for her. So when we talk about
the cost of living was the same. So check this out, right? This is what you're not hearing, right? Cost of living is the same. I just explained to you in Arkansas, rent was $500. Back when I was in Arkansas, 2011 or something like that, a good apartment was like $750. Like, that's a good apartment, right? Okay. You were living luxury if your apartment was over $1,000. But anyway, like you were like good money back in that time was like $13 an hour or something like that. That was really good money. But anyway, like I was saying, and you were probably working at a factory. But anyway, like I was saying, I just explained to you how cheap my rent was, right? I move out here, my rent is like triple for less like square footage, right? The problem what she's saying is that woman she's talking about, y'all, she had the same, her apartment was expensive or whatever, right? Say her apartment was $2,000, right? In the first place, where she was getting $15 an hour. She moved to another state. She got the same type of price for the apartment. Like, people, listen. Financial literacy will tell you, bro. You gotta make triple your your rent. So why would you get an apartment that costs the same amount of money from another state when you make less? Oh my God. Really, to tell you the truth, you should secure a job before you even get an apartment. That's just my opinion. You should be living with somebody, secure a job, secure several months of cash flow. And so when you get an apartment, you can, fill it up with furniture and whatnot. That's financial literacy. I'm just let her cook a little bit more.
you know, the effort of saying go out and get these jobs and get these trades, et cetera. I think that that is valid, but I think that the impediments by leveling up corporations and by pouring into the effort of corporations to keep billionaires, as Black conservatives, you are actually cutting off the ability for those people to excel.
Okay, I understand your point, but a lot of us are more about being self-sufficient. So the South, a friend of mine down there, King Randall, has a school for boys. He's what, 22 years old? He has a bunch of kids living with him. He's teaching them physical skills they can do. Okay,
Yeah.
being a mechanic, working on your car, working on your house, building things with your hands. So you don't got to worry about corporations. You could be your own man. You could be your own woman. And also, didn't you also say earlier that you're against unions? But are you
No,
for them now?
I never said that.
Oh, so you're for unions?
Absolutely.
So when the unions keep Black folks out, you're for that as well? Because that's traditionally what they've done, keep Black folks out, correct?
Obviously, I am not for that. The reality is that unions have definitely in the beginning kept Black folks out. And the reason why they were keeping Black folks out is because after the Civil War, when there was Reconstruction, you had all these Black people that had been used with free labor and they had skills, right? Whether they were a blacksmith or a carpenter or whatever. However, they could not get jobs because the white people who now had to fend for themselves, if you will, because they didn't have slaves, they had to go and learn all these trades.
Right.
And so they actively kept Black people out of those jobs. And then what they would do is that when they would, as a union, say, we're going on strike, the Black people would be like, well, we'll work because they won't let us in their union anyway. And then when they would go and actually get those jobs that the people were on strike for, they would hang them. They would lynch them. So yes.
Time out. They just
Sit here focusing on trying to get reparations. They dangle in front of us that they don't really want to do. And it's not going to help. We need education. Oh, it's not going to help. No, it's not. We need education. Getting a check from the government is not going to do that. And we need proper education. A lot of us go to these institutions where we're not really prepared, we're not really focused, and we don't get things that'll help us in the real world. So if you want to help Black people, a check from the government, from our tax dollars is going to get raised because, let's be clear, everybody in here is Black. We all American, we all got to pay taxes. It'll go to that. So I don't really see how this is going to help us at all.
Okay. Well, first I'll start with it will help on even just a moral level. The reality is that the United States has become very comfortable with the fact that it does not consider Black people equal. And it shows that in many ways that I'm sure we will discuss over the course of today. But ultimately, there has not been a committed, concerted effort to shifting the mindset around the use of Black people as a labor force in this nation back when it was slavery, now in the use of slavery as slave
People
labor
falling
in
asleep
prisons.
on her, boy.
So on a basic cultural level, reparations are an act of repair. They are an effort to say, our bad, we see you now. We have seen that done with Japanese folks who were put in internment camps. We have seen that done with Jewish folks. We have seen that done even in the case of slave owners who received reparations. When it comes to the use of tax dollars to pay reparations, and this is going to come up a lot today, it's a matter of values, right? For me, my value system.
It's hard to even listen to this girl. I got to jump in here. First and foremost.
No, you don't. We don't want to hear you. No, you don't. We don't. No, you don't. So, oh, bro. Reparations. When will Black people learn, man? When will we learn? What will we learn? They gave you a Black president, and they thought you stop asking for it. They gave you a Black vice president. Hey, listen, they're not giving you no money. I ain't giving you no money. There is one thing he said that I agree with, right? And it makes a lot of sense, right? They can't afford to give us the money. It's 40 million of us, bro. It's 40 million, bro. It's a lot. That's a lot of money. Like, that's a lot of money to give away. They can't afford it. We're in debt, like bad. We're in debt bad. But I'm going to say this, and I want you to think about this. Think about this. Because she said it's a moral thing, right? I can't fight her on the moral thing because it's moral. I will say this, though. Giving people money will never help anything. Never help. Let me explain to you why. We know this as a fact too. When people win the lottery, what happens to them? They end up broke. Why do they end up broke, CJ? Because just because someone gives you money doesn't mean you know what to do with money. See, this is what people do, right? When they say, oh, what happens? What if someone gives you $2 million, $4 million, right? What are you gonna do? I'm going to invest. What people don't understand when they say they're going to invest, you are pretty much gambling. Why are you gambling? Because you're not an investor, right? So you don't even know what you're looking at. So pretty much all you're doing is putting your money over here, over there, and you're hoping some good shit happens. I want you to try this, people. Ask someone, right, a question like, what if you won the lottery, right? Say if it's $100 million, what are you gonna do? They're gonna say, I'm gonna invest. Okay, I bet you they're not gonna say, I'm going to invest in a financial advisor. They're not gonna say that. They're not gonna tell you, I'm going to invest in an accountant. They're not gonna tell you that either. Why do you need a financial advisor, CJ? You need a financial advisor because the financial advisor's job is to help you make good investments. That is what they get paid to do. But people that say they're going to invest never say they're going to hire someone that's professionally, that's their job. Their whole purpose is to make good investments to help you make good investments. They don't say that. They also don't say, I'm going to hire an accountant. Why do you need to hire an accountant, CJ? Because you've never had $100 million before. You don't know how to manage that amount of money. You don't because you never had it before. And what happens when people get a lot of money, they mess it off. Now, some of y'all gonna be like, that's not true, CJ. Let me break down how I know it's true, right? Every year, at least 30 to 40 black men become millionaires. NFL, NBA draft, they become millionaires every year. These people are 22, 21, young black men, right? Straight out of college, become millionaires. Do you know most of them young scholars become broke? Because at NFL, I think it's like 2-3 years, people last 2 or 3 years, right? It's a brutal sport. What happens to all the millions of dollars, CJ? I'll explain to you what happens to them. They buy a big ass house. See, Cam Newton said something that was very intelligent, right? He said the quarterback from Chicago bought a big house in Chicago. And he said that was a bad investment. Why is that a bad investment? It's a bad investment. It's a bad investment because the quarterback's his contract is only so long, right? I don't know how long it is, but it's only so long. It's not forever, right? And so what happens if they trade him? He owns this mansion. Now you have to sell the mansion. Guess what, people? Mansions are hard to sell. Why? Because most people can't buy mansions. So what I'm saying is when you get a lot of money and you're not prepared to have a lot of money, you need to have an accountant. If he had an accountant, the accountant would have told him, hey, this is not a good investment. This is not smart to buy a big mansion in Chicago, even though you're worth hundreds of $millions right now, because guess what? You might have to move. And if you move, you don't want to just be paying for a mansion when you're in like another state. You want to get rid of it. People are not going to just want to buy your mansion. The mansion that Rick Ross lives in, right? Holyfield's mansion. That shit it took a long time for for him to get that off, bro. It took a long time. I think Rick Ross got it on a deal. Like, it's hard to sell mansions. And the reason why I'm using mansions is because this is something most people do when they get a lot of money. They buy a big house, right? And when you buy a big house, the everything is hella more expensive. The lights cost more money. The maintenance costs more money. right? And because it's your house, if something breaks, you have to fix it. That's more money. And think about it like this. He's a millionaire now. You're a millionaire now. You don't know if you're going to be a millionaire in your 50s. What if you go from being a millionaire in your 20s where you're playing in the league, right? And then you retire, you're not making that same money, but you still have the mortgage. So I'm bringing all this up to let you know when people talk about money and getting money and reparations, most people are not equipped to have that much money, because in order to operate in that world, you need to you need to be educated and have enough wisdom to when you get the money, you don't blow it all up. And I'm not even talking about you buying cars and fancy jewelry. I'm just saying, like, you trying to make good investments, but you don't know what you're doing because you never had that much money. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people, when they get that much money, they put it into restaurants. That's a bad investment. But see, they wouldn't know that because they don't have financial advisors. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people will give their friends and family money. That's not a good investment. The reason why is because once you give someone money, they're going to keep asking for money over and over again. But see, they don't have anyone to help them, right? And so I think I'm going to end it with that, because the reparations conversation is frankly stupid. I'm going to be honest, stupid. It's only going to benefit people that are actually financially literate. It's not going to benefit there is a demographic of people that we all know, right? When they get money, it's literally burning in their hands, and you know what I'm talking about. And so you can get that person $2 million. I know that money, that money is going down the drain. Oh, I do have a message. For the Black conservatives I want to give, because the pandering must stop. And I have a message from your favorite white boy. And I'm going to use Poet Flacco to get it off.
Indoctrinated that his view of black people, 15 million black
How does King Von have?
really believes that 40% of black people commit violent crime. Bro, that's just not true. Like, that's just false. But bro probably like don't know no better. Feel me? Like, he probably just don't know no better. He's heard enough of these like right-wing talking points that he believes is true. Bro, there's 41 million black people in the States that are like documented. There's probably more undocumented black people, right? Like, the census says what? Like, people are saying, yo, there's estimated like 60 million black people in America, but like 40 lens of white supremacy, bro, like 16. Well,
sorry, you've been voted out by the.
These like right-wing talking points that he believes is true.
Oh, I didn't get it. All right. Anyway, the Nick Fuentes, their favorite white boy. I don't know what I did with the clip. I'm just going to say what he said. He said, listen, you guys are panderers and we don't accept you. The DEI is over with. You're no longer required. Listen, I don't know what I did with the clip. It was somewhere in there, but listen. I want to say this to all the Black conservatives. You are just a tool. You're just a tool. And I'm trying to be fair, but it is what it is. But also, on the other hand, the Black Democrats are jokes. Jokes. Why are they jokes, Chris? I'm going to tell you why. Dr. Umar, right? I'm bringing him up because he illustrates how Black Democrats are jokes. He's losing in school, right? He's losing the building of the school. And Charlemagne Goofy Butt is saying, well, maybe he didn't know what to do, and he was doing a lot of spinning and a lot of excusing out of it. And I'm using Charlemagne because he's a great representation of vote blue no matter who. You Black Democrats and Black liberals are so blind to the truth that you and the Black conservatives, you are the same, just on just opposite sides. You get used, and you sit there and you pink and pander to the mighty they, instead of just saying, you know what, I'm Black and I'm an American, and so I should move as an individual, right? I'm not a part of Republican. That's not my shit. That was made before me. I'm not Democrat. That's not my shit. That was made before me. I'm a Black person in America, and we should just be Black people in America, meaning we should vote as Black people in America. It should be no conservative or liberal, right? Because to be real with you, I believe most of us have a piece of everything, right? We're not one way all the way. And so it's really problematic. And I wish we would come together and leave these other agendas alone and phone our own agenda. But that was it. CJ, I'm out.